Hey there, breakthrough entrepreneurs. I am pretty excited about this week's episode because these days I'm kind of doing episodes that reflect what's coming up around me and in my world. And this topic came up last week. Arlene and I did a Clubhouse. So I was moderating a room in Clubhouse last week. I do a Clubhouse meeting every week. We do it on different days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've changed up the time. But we're just spending time in Clubhouse talking about entrepreneur tips and how to help entrepreneurs get unstuck, get more clients, make more money. We're creating a community of entrepreneurs within Clubhouse. So every week we're there. Go find me on Clubhouse, Janet K. Fish on Clubhouse. Join the conversation. Love to have you. So it came up on Clubhouse, the conversation we were having last week in Clubhouse. Then it came up again on Friday in a much bigger way. So Friday is my golf day. For those of you who have listened to the podcast or seen any of my YouTube Fun Friday foolery, every Friday I play golf with my sister pretty much. And last Friday we played. And my sister was playing in a tournament the following day. And in that tournament, she had to only play with 4 clubs. And so usually you play with like 10 or 11 clubs or more. So she could only use 4 in this tournament she was playing on Saturday. So I said, let's just try that today. Like, let's play with only having 4 clubs. And so we picked our 4 clubs, and for anyone who's interested, I'll put in the show notes what I picked and what she picked. Just a little anecdote about it. We played our normal game. We didn't play worse with the 4 clubs that we chose, but we learned a lot from it. And so I was talking about that on Fun Friday, last Friday, and we started talking about like what happens when the tools that you're used to using get taken away, or some of the tools that you're using get taken away. Like what would you do? How would you compensate for it? Would it freak you out? Like, would you even play? Like, if someone said you can only play with 4 golf clubs, would you even show up? If someone said you can no longer do in-person events, wink, wink, COVID, would you show up online? How would you compensate for those tools being taken away from you? And how would you show up differently? So in real life, COVID took away a bunch of our tools, right? All of a sudden, we couldn't meet live. We couldn't go to live events. We couldn't even sit down and have coffee with prospects or customers. Those tools were taken away. And in my experience at the time, there were some people who played. I'm going to figure it out. I was one of those. I'm just going to run really fast. If I was to do it again, I might not run as fast. I might have slowed down a little bit and done it more purposefully. But at the time, I was like, I'm just going to keep going to figure out where this is taking us. So I just ran pretty fast. There were some people who took their ball and went home. I'm not going to play. I'm going to wait it out. I don't think anybody expected it to last as long as it has. So some people just said, I'm going to wait it out. And then other people invented new ways to use some of the tools that we had to fill in what we could no longer do. And I'll give you a perfect example. My dear, dear, dear friend, Susie Pruden, who's been on the podcast a couple of times, she created this thing called Dinner at Your Place. In fact, we did an episode about dinner at your place, which I am going to find what that episode number was. It was episode 15. So Susie created this thing called Dinner at Your Place. It was Friday night at 5:00 Pacific time, because that's where most of her people are. That's where I was. And we got together on Zoom, and we had a cocktail, and we ate some dinner, but we communicated with each other in ways that we couldn't because we were all locked down and couldn't leave our house. And so I love the way that she invented a new way to use an existing tool in a new way. And I think we've had to do a lot of that over the course of the last year. For me, my personal experience, and I shared some of this on the podcast, I did a online summit with 10 speakers, and I did it all on Zoom, and it was a full day. And I pulled it off. It was actually really, really pretty good. I would have never done that if it wasn't for COVID. I would have done an in-person event, or I might not have done the event at all. So people found new ways to deal with their tools that they were no longer allowed to use. And I'd say there's a mindset that goes along with all of it. And I think we all experienced our mindset as it changed and as we evolved through this entire process, which we're still going through. It's not done. Cases are on the rise, and masks are coming back, and all of these things. Events are being canceled again. So we're not through it. But we continue to, or I continue to be obsessed and fascinated with the mindset that we all have and that we all experience as we go through it, as we go through this pandemic, and the ups and downs of our mindset. It's certainly not a thing. It's not a stable thing. We all have ups and downs, and some pretty wild ups and downs as it has pertained with our mindset. And I think for some of us, it's shown us our vulnerabilities. And for some of us, it has shown us our strengths. For a lot of us, it has shown us our persistence, our ability to stay consistent and to do the work, or run around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to do what they thought they should do, which would be me. I learned a great deal of what works and what doesn't work by trying a whole bunch of different things and hoping something, like throwing the spaghetti against the wall and hoping something stuck. So I think it's been a really interesting experiment that we've been through. And certainly, like I said, I was reminded of it when my sister and I played golf with only 4 clubs on Friday. So what tools were taken away from us with COVID? Like, we could no longer go in person and speak. We couldn't do any networking. We couldn't do any in-person sales calls. We couldn't have business lunches. We couldn't go out and do entertainment. We couldn't go to the ball game with our clients. We couldn't go to the office for some of you. It dramatically changed our environment in a lot of ways. So my question to you is, and I'd love to hear from you. So email me, respond in Instagram, which is where I'm the most active. Breakaway Business Coaching in Instagram. Come DM me over there. But I'm really interested. What tools did you lose, and what did you replace them with? Because I'm really interested to see what all of you did through all of that. As things start opening up again, what tools will you bring along with you, continue to use? And I'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing, what I'm continuing and stopping and all of that in a second. So I'll share with you my thoughts on it. But what will you continue to use? What will you ramp up using? But even more importantly than that, I think, is what tools will you leave behind that no longer serve you? So part of the conversation that I've had with a lot of people, even at the beginning of the pandemic, but certainly through the pandemic, is I'm not going to go back to doing all those crazy things that I was doing. So one person in particular shared with me, she and her husband were doing all these things, had 3 businesses, and they felt like they needed to do everything in person. So they were running around doing this, that, and the other thing. And when they could no longer do that, they thought, oh my gosh, we don't have to live like that. It's one of my episode on shoulds, episode number, I did an episode on what we should do and what we shouldn't do and how we continue to do all these things that we should, episode number 65. But let's stop doing all of those things that we should. Let's do the things that serve us, and let's leave behind the things that don't. I think the saddest thing would be for when things really do open up again, for people to go back and do exactly what they did before without making a conscious decision of what you're going to do and what you're going to keep with you and what you're going to leave behind. So for me, my new tools, the Break Room Zoom party. So it's a it's a Zoom meeting of entrepreneurs to talk about their challenges, to engage with each other, to network with each other, to promote their business, because we'll go around and we'll talk about what everybody does and how everybody serves people. And then that episode will end up being a episode on the podcast, which lots of people listen to. So guess what? You'll get to talk about what you do. You'll be able to give your information. People can contact you. Have a chance to get some joint venture partners out of that. So I am doing a twice a month Zoom party. So come and hang out with us live on Zoom and get to know a bunch of other entrepreneurs, because that's where all the cool people are. The other thing I'm doing is Clubhouse, and that's really pretty new for me. Clubhouse is a fairly new audio-only platform. I am hosting a room with my friend Arlene Coates, who has been on the podcast a number of times, and she actually shows up in most of my Fun Fridays. So if you've seen any of those, you've seen me and Arlene just kind of shoot the you-know-what with a glass of wine on a Friday afternoon. But we are doing once a week a Clubhouse, and we're talking about entrepreneur tips and ways that entrepreneurs can do better, be better. And we bring on entrepreneurs who share their best tips on how to get unstuck, how to get more customers, and how to make more money. I'm doing lives, Facebook Live and Instagram Live. So the Fun Friday is a live, and we do it both on Instagram and Facebook. If you've seen any of them, I think we've done 4 of them so far. You'll see that I am a little challenged with the technology, but I'm figuring it out. So for any of you watched some of the first, or listened to, well, mostly watched, because they're up on YouTube. I'll put a link below. We watched them and we fumble around at the beginning trying to figure out what the heck we're doing. That's me, all on me. But I'm okay with that, because we all got to start somewhere. And I'm doing my best to be out there and being live and overcoming my fears of doing that. And all of the head stuff that comes up with, like, why would anybody want to listen to me live, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm getting out of my way, and I'm doing that. I talked in length about what I'm doing in my new tools in episode 76 called Bust Out of Your Comfort Zone. So if you want to hear more about what I'm doing and how I'm trying to bust out of my comfort zone doing these things, episode 76 will go into a little bit more depth on that. What I'm ramping up and doing more of is social media. So I picked Instagram. I don't remember, a year ago. Maybe it was January. I don't remember. I picked Instagram as my primary platform, and I'm going large. So I'm doing the Instagram Live on Friday. I do video. I do stories. I'm doing Instagram TV. I've done some reels. And I'm getting out there, and I'm just really engaging in Instagram and trying to build my following and follow more people and get some really cool engagement going on. So I'm really focused on social media, being consistent, trying to post at least 3 or 4 times a week. So that's one thing for me. And one thing I want to mention here, because as I was thinking about it, I was like, one of the tools that I am relying on right now to do so many of the things that I'm doing on social media, particularly Instagram, is Canva. I use the free version. I'm not using the pro version. You can create still images with any kind of text on them, and images that you want to put on them. Stick them up on Instagram. Now Canva has the ability to do video. So I actually put a still image of my, my logo, and then I actually embed live sound bites in there and save it as a video, and boom, I've used Canva to create these really cool soundbite videos of snippets of my podcast episodes. So check out Canva if you haven't already. It is a lifesaver. It's a time saver. It's a money saver. It'll get you out doing lots of cool stuff on social media you never thought you could, really easily, and it looks really good. It looks really professional. Let's see. Then the other thing that I'm doing more of is video in general. So video in social media, video in email, creating content with video. And I've now taken all of my Zoom video, or I'm in the process of all my Zoom video podcast interviews, sticking them up on YouTube. So I've got a YouTube channel. I think I have like 12 survivors, 12 subscribers or 15 subscribers, because I don't really do a lot with it. But right now I'm doing a lot of video, and I'm pumping it up there on YouTube because it's just another platform where people can find me. And one of these days I'll put it on my priority to figure out how to really promote that. But right now, just do video, lots of video, lots of video. There's 2 episodes on the podcast that I go deep into video with Kenny Ballantyne, who's a videographer and really, really, really skilled. Episode 7 and episode 14, go check those out. One, Kenny talks about video and being genuine and not having to be perfect. And that's in episode 7. And episode 14, he talks about why video and why now. That was during the kind of beginning of the pandemic, but everything he said in that episode is as true now as it was then. So go check that out. What I am leaving behind: in-person meetings that don't serve me. So I have an in-person meeting that I was doing pre-pandemic. It's 30 minutes from my house, 30 minutes back from my house. It's an hour and a half long meeting. So that's, 2.5 hours of my day. And I really looked at what I was getting from it. And I was getting some good things from it, but now I have a video option or a Zoom option for that meeting. So I think I'm going to stick with the Zoom option. So I'm really looking at where did I spend all my time? I'd go, we feel like we should, once again, back to the shoulds, we should go to networking events. And then we go to a networking event. I'll just speak for myself. And sometimes I'll go hang out with somebody that I already know. That's probably a good friend of mine that's either bought what I have or is not going to buy what I have, or, is not my target market. And I'll hang out with them and I won't meet any new people. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing events that don't serve me, that are in person. Or even I will go as far as to say online. So at the beginning, I think like everybody, I joined every Zoom networking thing I could find. I did all these, and slowly but surely I've wheedled out the ones that serve me and the ones that don't. And they're not a lot that actually serve me, but there are a number of them. That's another reason I created the break room, because I saw what I wanted to bring and what I wanted to have in a Zoom networking for entrepreneurs. I wasn't finding other places. So I created one of my own. So that's why I do the break room Zoom party. But that's another thing that I am leaving behind, is the need to do, 3 hours of Zoom networking every day, because I couldn't do anything else. I'm picking and choosing the ones where I want to engage, and the ones that serve me. So my message is, make a conscious decision on where you're going to use your most precious assets of your time and your money. So don't just do it, but make an absolute conscious decision that this is what I'm going to do to promote my business, and this is where I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to spend my time. All right, I want to give a big shout out to my podcast buddy, Adam Shibley. He has a podcast called Podcasting Business School. In his latest episode, go check it out on Apple iTunes. In his latest episode 188, and I'm not even in the episode, so it's not like I'm promoting something I'm in. I'm in some of his episodes, but not this one. But he talks about how to use your social media and marketing efforts in the places that give you the biggest return on your investment. So whether you're a podcaster or not, his tips and thoughts about where to spend your time and particularly around social media, you'll get benefit from. So go listen to that episode. It is awesome. All right, so I'm all about action. So I want to share with you 5 things that you can do right now to either get unstuck, find more customers, make more money, get out of your way, just start. I'm going to share you 5 things that you can do absolutely today. Number 1, and this won't come as a surprise to most of you, create your unique and compelling message that is focused on your target market. And so we talk about target market all the time on here, and I always talk about your target market in essence is, the demographics and the psychographics of your, ideal client. But it's also the answer to these 2 questions. What's the problem that you solve, and how do you uniquely solve it? Craft your unique and compelling message around the answer to those two questions. That's number one. Number two, get on social media now if you're not already there. Get on social media now more than ever. It is not going to get less important. It's going to be a better way, I think, to connect with people and to grow your audience. Pick one social media platform. I've picked Instagram. Where are your people? And go there. Well, I coach business owners, so many of my clients or prospects are on LinkedIn. I have 8,800 connections on LinkedIn. But I don't find there to be the quality of engagement or the frequency of engagement on LinkedIn. And just, I'll be completely honest, of course. I don't do much. I haven't picked that platform as a place to foster that engagement so you get out of it what you put into it. But LinkedIn to me is, I don't know, it's too stuffy. It's not as much fun. And I am getting great traction on Instagram. So I'm on Instagram, but pick one. It could be Facebook. It could be Instagram. It could be Pinterest. It could be Clubhouse. I mean, pick a social platform and only pick one to begin with, and then just be consistent. Post 1 time a week. Post 3 times a week. Post every day. But pick one, get started, and be consistent with it. So that's number 2. Number 3, get your voice out there. Do social media live. Be a guest on a podcast. Host a room in Clubhouse. Create your own Zoom room. Get speaking, whether it's virtual or in person. Put on a summit like you did and moderate that. Get your voice out there. People need to hear what you have. And I'm the first person to say, I get it when you're like, I don't know, because that was me 6 months ago. I'm a coach and I kind of prefer to be coaching in the background. I don't need to be front and center. I don't need to be stage. I don't need to be the one who you are looking at and listening to right now. But you know what? Absolutely, I do. Because there's no better way for me to get across my message than to sit here and stare at this camera and talk to you from my heart. There's no better way to convey the message. So get your voice out there in whatever way it works for you, in the many ways that it could work for you. Number 4, do video and do lots of it, right? So I love video. I didn't used to love video. I would say a year ago when Kenny first came on, maybe over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I was like, I don't want to do video. And I actually worked with him. He had a content club, and I sat in front of cameras with him. It was the first time I really did much video. And I was like, I don't want to do this. But embrace it, right? Embrace it. Every social media platform, 1, loves video. They love video more than text. 2, video is a great way to get people to meet you and see you and listen to you and hear your voice. So do video, do lots of it, and it doesn't have to be professional. Do it with your phone, like your cell phone. That works great. I actually do my Instagrams with my phone. Right? My Instagram lives, I do with my phone. So it doesn't have to be professional. Just have some good sound, have a microphone, have some lighting. I got the ring lights. I've got some great lighting in this room. This is what I'll say. Start ugly. I love this. I heard this. I don't know. I've heard it before, and then I heard it again sometime this week. Start ugly. We all start ugly. Doesn't matter. In fact, I think that it embraces us to people. Like when our videos stink at first, they're like, well, I can do that. Like, and they understand that you're human and you're not perfect. And I think it actually works better to not be professional, to not be in a studio, just to be your goofy, honest self and just get out and do it. So that's number 4. Number 5, don't do it alone. Too many entrepreneurs, we do it all alone. We think it's just us. We can go alone. If we're not going to do it alone, we have to hire people. hiring people is great, but when I say don't do it alone, I mean do it with other entrepreneurs. Get a tribe. Find people that are like you. Find people that are in the same stage that you're at. Find other entrepreneurs to have that conversation with, because I guarantee whatever you're dealing with, they're dealing with that same thing. So you can find them in the break room. Like I'll plug that one more time. Come join us in the break room. Clubhouse. Go find an entrepreneurial group in Clubhouse. So there's plenty of places. And the thing about Clubhouse, which I think is so much the bar is so much lower from a anxiety perspective, is one, it's audio only. Two, you can sit in the audience and listen. You never have to participate. Now, I'd say great, do that a couple of times. The only way to get traction in Clubhouse is to get on the stage. Like, people need to hear your voice. I'll say that again. But just start there. And you don't have to put makeup on and be on a camera. No one can see you. Lots of people do it when they're walking or when they're doing other things. There's nothing wrong with that. And so Clubhouse is an easy way to start the conversation, or at least get to know some people. So find other entrepreneurs that are in your same boat or experiencing some of the same challenges that you are. All right, so I'm going to leave you with one final thought, and it is my favorite new quote from last week's episode, and it is, thank you to Matt Franklin, who was in last week's episode, who said this in our conversation. I loved it. I've used it 8 times since, and it is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So start today. Start ugly. Take those 5 things that I talked about today. Do one of them, right? Just pick one of them and do one of them. All right. That's all I have for you today. Be well, break through your profit ceiling, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Before I let you go, I want to invite you to be a guest on the Breakthrough Your Profit Ceiling podcast. I'm looking for entrepreneurs who want to record a marketing audit interview where we'll focus on your current marketing strategies and come up with actionable steps you can take right now to grow your reach, increase your prospects, and get you more paying clients. An ideal guest is any small business owner who is tired of staying where they are and want to really take their business to the next level. If that's you, go to www.breakawaybusinesscoaching.com. In the upper right-hand corner of the homepage, you'll see a little green button that says Marketing Audit. Sign up for your marketing audit interview today. It's no cost to you. And look at the exposure you'll get by being a guest on the show. Thanks again for listening.